You don't want any general comments about the signing class and then go into it. You want to go straight into it. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's the home of the Alabama Crimson Tide as we welcome you in to, yes, where the process begins. It is National Signing Day 2022. A final bow put on this recruiting class, which will once again be among the best in the country. Alongside Rashad Johnson, the former Bama captain, All-American, and All-SEC standout before he moved on to the National Football League, I'm just Chris Stewart. I'm glad to have you with us as well. Rashad, a special day as Coach Saban and his staff have once again put together one of the best classes in the country.
No doubt about it, and it is a special day. I get an opportunity to sit next to my counterpart, Chris Stewart, along with some great Elephant Club members, and we get to talk about this 2022 class. It was a terrific class, a lot of big-time playmakers to fill in some of those gaps of the guys that went on to the draft. So really excited to get into this list and see what Coach Saban has to say a little later on in his press conference as well.
That's right. The Red Elephants are indeed here at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and Coach will be talking to all of them, and we'll be having that for you coming up in about 30 minutes. But right now, we're going to take a look at the second version of what we're calling the reveal, taking a look at some of the standouts, and we begin with the defensive line grouping, and let's start with Isaiah Hastings.
Yes, Isaiah Hasting, D lineman out of Clearwater Academy, Florida, big kid. And what you love about a D lineman is his get off. His ability to get off and also use his hands. You see him just walking the offensive lineman back there in the backfield, just dominating the line of scrimmage. Here he is in, lined up on the interior D-line position. And once again, you see his get off, just disrupting the whole play by knocking the guard back into the running back, and does it terrific every time.
6'4", 290. He's actually from Toronto, but playing down in Florida at Clearwater Academy International. He joins the Tide after playing last season down there, a four-star who's obviously very talented.
Yeah, very talented, and we keep seeing it play after play. You know, his get off, understanding the snap count, and just getting in the backfield, causing tons of disruption. That's what you love about a decent defensive lineman.
From a Canadian to a Colombian, Mississippi that is. Jaheim Otis, 6'4", 360 pounds, was an offensive lineman over in Mississippi, a 5-star ranking as the #2 recruit in that state.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why. This kid is huge and big in the interior, but he's also nifty and can move. This play here makes it all the way out to the hashes. You know, just showing you his range. Not only is he big, but he's finesse. Showing you his swim move here. A little slower than our swim move, but he still gets the job done in a terrific fashion. So excited to have such a big guy that can plug the middle, but also can range out now the way the offensive are playing on the perimeter with the tall sweeps and the way that the plays are being called nowadays.
Mistake on my part, I said O-lineman. He lived in the backfield, but he was a D-lineman, and you could see doing a great job of gobbling things up. Chose Bama over Mississippi State and Ole Miss along with LSU, who was on his list. And Curtis Perry, is an Alabama kid from Pike Road High School, in-state D lineman, 4-star prospect by all the major recruiting sites.
And what I love about this kid here is his motor. You know, every single play, his get off, but also just how he just continues to pursue the ball. And after every play, his energy, he's bringing something, and he's excited about playing the game, and you can tell that just by watching the film. Here, he beats the offensive lineman and then runs the play down from behind. Just terrific get off, terrific speed, and just running through guys, dominating, play in and play out. And there he just shows you a little bear crawl and gets some little extra conditioning after that sack. So you gotta love a guy that just loves to play the game, and that's who Curtis Perry is.
Played in state championship and also in the All-American Bowl in San Antonio, Texas. Chose Bama over Auburn along with Clemson and Texas. So again, that D-line group, the rankings are great, but it's really all about need, and Alabama filled some holes there.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, all about need, and those D linemen are getting an opportunity to step in early on and play. You know, losing guys up front, and then them having an opportunity to show what they shown on film. Can it translate early on? We'll find out soon, and I'm excited to watch them in camp and get them an opportunity to make their imprint here and leave their legacy.
We're going to talk about linebackers next, and there's a new position coach there coming over from Ole Miss, Coleman Holtzler, working not only with the linebackers but also special teams.
Yeah, and it's important when you have a new coach. He's already here on campus, and these guys get an opportunity to work with him, build a relationship, understand what goes on in spring ball. So he's going to get opportunity to get over here, get his hands on them. They get opportunity to build a relationship with him throughout the summer as well. So it's going to be a fun process. And then the young guys, just getting opportunity to get the new guy early on and learn him as he learns them. It's just going to be fun to see how they both matriculate and grow in their first season under the Tide and Coach Saban's leadership.
As we get into seeing some of the players, this first one we're going to check out, you're going to enjoy. Jeremiah Alexander, Thompson High School, saw him a good bit out of Alabaster, Alabama, 6'2", 250.
Man, by far one of my favorite prospects to watch on film because he's just so technique sound. Right there, you see him just playing the stretch play out, the double team, waiting on the linebacker, the lineman to fall off, and then he makes his play. Same thing here. Plays his position outside on the technique on the block, crosses face, and comes in and makes the play in the backfield. Just tremendous talent that uses his hands up front and just understands ball. And you can tell that just how he plays each and every play with great technique. This is probably one of my favorite, the Ted game. In goes up, tackle comes around. He does a great job of selling that with the 3 steps and then coming back under, just showing his understanding of the defense and how to make it work once he gets on the field. This is a guy that I expect to play early on, and just another great example of playing the cut block here. Plays with his hands, doesn't go down on the ground, was still able to stand up and then fall back in on a talented quarterback and make a play like that. Thompson makes a lot of great players. We're lucky to have this one, and I think he's going to play early on and contribute in a major way.
Really, really talented. A young man we don't have footage of, but Jihad Campbell is a linebacker, 6'3", 215 out of New Jersey. Played his prep ball, though, at IMG.
Yeah, I mean, 6'3", 215, big guy. I'll know he has a lot of range when I watched him on film myself. So just excited about him. We know IMG does a great job of developing players. So getting a guy from that school, from that pedigree, he understands what the process is like and what it's like to be a champion. So excited to add him to this list of great linebackers.
Pick the Tide over familiar names like Clemson, Florida, Georgia, and Texas A&M. Let's check out Sean Murphy, another linebacker, 6'2". He's out of Manassas, Virginia, played at Unity Reed High School, a 4-star by everybody.
Yeah, I really like this kid, and it's probably because I got an opportunity to meet him about a week ago as I came back on campus, just being around, and man, very inquisitive, but not just an opportunity to meet him and seeing how inquisitive he is and wanting to understand how to be better as a player and a person, but watching him on film, he's a guy that sets the tone. He's always downhill. Right here, probably a little too physical, but I love to see it from the linebacker position. I mean, you can't hit him around the neck, but I mean, he understands that I got to set the tone, and the game is going to be played by my energy and the way that I bring it, play in and play out. And this guy does a great job of doing it. Once again, taking on the offensive lineman, he's fixing his helmet because he's knocked his head a little loose, but he does a great job of just being a tone setter, and you love a guy like that on your defense. Reminds me of a Reuben Foster, you know, a guy that's just always attacking the ball and being physical when he gets to that point.
All right, Rashad, let's go from linebackers to the secondary, and we'll talk about another group that's got a new coach this year, or will, in Travarius Robinson. Of course, played at Auburn, coached there, Miami, his most recent stop, but we finally got him in the right color scheme now. Wearing the crimson, but a tremendous reputation as a DB's coach. He'll work with the corners. Yeah,
he does. He has a tremendous reputation, like you said. He has tons of draft picks. I think 21 draft picks in his 16 years as a coach. That means every year someone has gotten drafted, you know, under his tutelage. And I had a great friend of mine, Gerard Powers, played at Auburn. Great friend of his, had nothing but high regards to say about this guy. So I'm really excited to see him, like you said, now in the right colors and helping our guys, you know, go to the next level, because we have a lot of great players at the DP position. Even some of these guys he's going to get his hands on.
Well, let's start talking about the group that signed from the secondary. We begin with Traequan Fagins, another Thompson Warrior, played there at the Alabaster, Alabama school, 6'2", 185, great size already coming out of high school. And playing against Hoover here, playing against great competition.
Great competition, and what I love about that was his great patience. The receiver comes off the ball and gives him a couple moves, and he's just patient there, sitting and waiting on him to come to him, and then finishes on the play, being able to intercept the ball. You always want to have a DB that has great ball skills. And then here, anticipation. He understands the route that's coming, understands his positioning, and then puts himself in the perfect position to make a pass breakup. And then you can see that he can play multiples. Not only is he a man-to-man corner, here, there, in cover two. Does a great job of rerouting, playing his position, confusing the quarterback, and then he can take it to the house.
It brings in a championship mentality, a part of 3 consecutive state championship teams there at Thompson.
Man, I mean, that speaks volumes. When you have a kid that has won state championships, he understands what it takes day in and day out. And so you can definitely expect him to play and bring that same pedigree.
Let's go from Shelby County to Anniston, Alabama. And Anniston Bulldog Antonio Kite, now a member of the Crimson Tide, one of the top players in the state. He's been really good on both sides, but expected to be in the secondary for Alabama.
Yeah, Antonio Kite. One thing about this kite, it can fly. He is so fast, and he makes it look easy. Right here on the kickoff return, I know we said he's a DB, but when you got a guy that can play special teams and change the game in that factor, but not only that, here at receiver, just showing you that just give me a step and give me the ball, and I'm going to take it to the house. Showing you a little showmanship here. Great play to finish it off, but I love this next play. He's going to show you just how great of a player he is at DB. Here at safety, player goes in motion. He understands exactly what's happening. Let me move with him, anticipation, and then breaks on the ball. I mean, just a spectacular play from the back end, showing you that he understands offenses, how they're trying to attack you, and then he just uses that to his advantage and makes a humongous play there. An even bigger play here, just showing you his range. Out of the middle of the field, tiptoeing on the sideline, just big-time player in the secondary that can play the ball well, and he's not afraid to come downhill and make a hit like he does here. So you've seen him in all facets. He can contribute special teams, deep ball, and then he's physical at the point of attack and make the tackles. I love this kid a lot.
Unanimous 4-star pick out of Anniston. Earl Little Jr., a DB out of Fort Lauderdale and American Heritage High School, 6'1", 180.
Yeah, Earl Little, 6'1", 180, but boy, does he play big. This play here, just reading the defense, big-time interception, just showing you his savviness. And once again, drops in coverage, knowing something's behind me, something's also in front of me, and then come down and lays the wood. I love when you have a DB that's light, but also understands that I can be physical at the point of attack, and then he's able to blitz, something that we do in the secondary a lot. Probably my favorite play. Anticipation, steps inside, reads the defense, knows what's happening, man. When you got a guy that just understands football, and his IQ level, as you can see on this film, lets you know the way that he's anticipating and breaking on plays, that he steps and leaps and bounds ahead of what you normally see at a typical DB. Great
bloodlines, the son of former NFL player Earl Little, and also coached by Patrick Surtain Sr. at American Heritage. Let's move on.
That explains it all.
It does indeed. That, and God blessed him pretty well at birth, too, I think. Jack Pope, a good one, 6'1", 190. Jake Pope out of Buford, Georgia, 6'1", 190.
Yeah, and Jake has been blessed as well. Does a great job playing the safety position, coming down here, reading the outside run, and then just coming up and being physical at the point. You also love to see that your DB can catch the ball. Right here, literally just leaves the defender standing, literally, and all wide open on the big play. Just does a terrific job making plays on the defensive side of the ball. Here again, anticipating what's going on, never quitting on the play and keeping his eyes open on how can I be effective. Quarterback makes a mistake, he makes him pay. Once again, see him pointing. That means he understands what's happening on the film. He's telling someone else what to do, and then he ends up making a play because he puts them in the right position. When you got a guy that can talk to his guys in front of him, put him in the right position, and then get back in his own right and understand what he has to do and make a play, you have a special player at safety. And this is probably my favorite play. Quarterback run. You see it every week, all the time. Free safety comes down to the top, 11 on 11 ball. You got to have that free safety to come in and make that play. Jake Pope does a great job of doing that, and that's why he's going to be a tremendous player for us for a long time.
So those are the high school signees, but there's this thing called the transfer portal. You may have heard of it as of late. Something that's benefiting the Crimson Tide as well, Coach Saban and staff, bringing in a young man named Eli Rix that we know well from Baton Rouge.
Yeah, Eli Rix is a great player, long in length, and all SEC type talent. So when you get an opportunity to get a player like that and get him underneath, the greatest coach of all time, the sky is not the limit. He's definitely going to go to a university if he just taps in and goes with the process. And I expect nothing less than that. Got an opportunity to meet him last week. Great kid.
All these guys are athletes, but the young men that you really don't have a position clearly defined for them when they come on campus, we just say athlete. One of those, Kendrick Law out of Captain Shreve High School in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Yeah, athlete. That means he's going to get opportunity to come in and just show his skill set. You know, coach is probably going to put him in multiple different places because he is so good. We can't just define what position can he play. So excited to see where he falls. It's a lot of openings. Secondary, receiver, definitely that room's wide open. So it's going to be interesting to see where he falls.
Four-star chose the Tide over Florida State, LSU, and Texas. And Amari Niblack, who's out of Clearwater, Florida, picked Bama over Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Indiana, among others.
Yeah, and you got to love it when a guy starts his highlight showing you his physicality and blocking. I mean, wide receiver just shows you that I'm going to, you know what, start my highlight showing coach that I don't have to get the ball every play. I can be a team player. And that's exactly who he showed himself to be there. But he also says, hey, if you give me a chance, I can make the big play. Down in the red zone there, does a great job of beating the one-on-one defender on the inside slant. This is probably one of my favorite plays that he made here. Just going up top, being a big-time player, but more impressive was keeping his balance and not falling there. Just shows you how athletic he is in the skill set that he hones in on. Right here, just throw it up and let him rebound the ball. LeBron James dunking on the defender. Amari Niblack lined up at tight end. He can line up at the one receiver. Just a mismatch nightmare all over the field. And here it just shows you the ability to adjust to the ball, his ability to get his feet down. Just really great talent. I can see why we place him as an athlete, because is he a receiver? Is he a tight end? We'll find out soon.
Right, he is indeed a good one. All right, let's talk about the offensive line, and we begin by talking about a new coach. He comes from the Bluegrass, Kentucky's Eric Wolford, joining Coach Saban's staff.
Yeah, it's very important, man, that offensive line and getting the coach in early, especially for spring ball, getting this new group of guys in. That's when you gel. Get an opportunity to make some of those checks, understand, you know, how to run those certain schemes. So it's going to be fun to watch them in the spring game and see how they gel and then grow into, you know, the unit that they're going to be once the season comes along. You know, losing guys like Evan Neal in the draft is going to probably be a first rounder, first pick overall, they're saying. So a lot of spots to fill there. Excited to see what we have on film here. Let's take a look.
Yeah, they got some size to fill it with, beginning with Tyler Booker, 6'5", 325. That's a good starting point.
That's a big boy. And he does a great job of just using his size. He just comes down right here, just laying on defenders and just wears them down right there. Getting his hands inside, too, is one of the main things that I notice is his strong point. Once he gets his hands on you, he just lays on you, and you don't stand a chance. Right there, vice grips. He's latched them on, and he's going to take them to the water every time. Long arms, great balance, good body control. Like to see him keep his head out of there, but does a great job every time just finishing the defender, play in and play out. You love to see that from, you know, your tackle position, and I think he's going to do a great job of fitting in, you know, at a right tackle, possibly a left tackle, depending on how balanced he is. And right here shows you in the pass rush that he does a great job of keeping his body lean and his balance and controlling the defender there.
That's the young man who picked Bama over Florida, Georgia, and Ohio State. We move now to Elijah Pritchett. He is out of Carver High School in Columbus, Georgia, 6'6", 300 pounds.
Yeah, Elijah Pritchard, the prophet himself, baptizing guys left and right on this film. I really enjoy watching him. He has great body lean and stance and just a natural punch, as you can see right there. Just physical at the point, and then he drives it home. He lets the guys know I'm here for a long fight, and I don't mind running through your buddy as he gets in the way as well. I love this play here just in the pass game, showing you that he can move his feet, he can keep the defender away from him so he doesn't get a holding call, and just does a great job of just placing his hands and being in the right position. Gonna bring a blitz here. Understanding the blitz is coming, picks up his man perfectly, and then finish him in a big way. Elijah Pritchard, you know, the prophet, is a guy that we can run behind and score many touchdowns. He can lead you to the water. Really good footwork in addition to the size, it seems, for a high school kid. Yeah, amazing footwork. I mean, that's what makes him special. Not only his punch, but his footwork and being able to finish guys in the manner that he does. Another young man we're going to tell you about, don't have any footage of yet, but Dane Shore, 6'6", 315, out of Alpharetta, Georgia. 4-star player over there. Man, 6'6", 315, big guy, probably interior lineman, maybe some left tackle as well with his leap. It's going to be exciting to see him step in and see what he can do early on here in the spring ball. From all over, Oklahoma, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas A&M, all interested. He chose the Alabama Crimson Tide. All right, let's talk about receivers a little bit. Yeah. And obviously, the last couple of years, some incredible guys have moved on. Yeah. Two key guys move on from this past year's squad. Yeah, Jamison Williams and also our guy, John Mechie.
John Mechie.
Yeah, both of those guys leaving. It's definitely going to be a loss. Jamison Williams, he's a big-time down-the-field threat, so that's going to be something you're trying to fill with this class, and I think we did that. And then Mechie, just his senior leadership, older guy, been around, understood the things he learned from Judy and my guy, Jalen Waddle. So just understood those things and was able to pass that on. Who's going to be those new guys now? So some of these young guys got a great opportunity to step in a room that's wide open.
Let's start with New Orleans native Aaron Anderson out of Edna Carr High School, 5'9", 185.
Yeah, 5'9", 185. Little guy, really swift. I love the way that he runs routes, and just a slasher. Once he gets the ball in his hands, it seems like he's just gliding on air. Everybody else is moving in slow motion, and he's just running away from defenders. He does it play in and play out. Here, lined up in the slot position. Normally, you're going to get a linebacker or safety. So just a mismatch for a guy of his caliber and his speed. I love this play here, showing you his craftiness. Fakes the block, and I'm buying for a 6. Just understanding his assignment on that play, how to sell it to make it seem like a run, and then getting on top to make a big play. And then, like I said earlier, you always love when you have a player who can change the game on special teams. It changes the field position. It can change the outcome of a game. Kenyon Drake in the national championship. So you love when you see a guy on the film that can play the offense and defense position, but also can take it to the house in a kick 6 situation anytime.
5'9", not huge, but 185 shows he's a solid player indeed. Isaiah Bonds, 5'11", 175, another Buford, Georgia product.
Yeah, Georgia product and great player. What I love about this play here is this is just a glorified toss sweep. Just give me the ball, coach, and let me do my thing because I can dance. And nobody can touch me. Dancing on the sideline, just juking guys out of their shoes. And then when it's time to turn on the burners, I can leave them in the dust. So just shows you a lot of skill sets there in his change of direction. Here, like I said, just running past defenders. The defensive back was 15 yards off. Didn't stand a chance. Hey, coach, throw me another one of those toss sweeps. Puts his foot in the ground, gets north, and outruns the angle of the safety. I mean, this guy has elite speed. And then here, just a simple hitch route. You love it when you can make a guy miss. Reminds me of Jerry Jeudy. Reminds me of our Heisman winner, Devontae Smith. He can catch a 5-6 yard pass, make a guy miss, and take it to the house. Isaiah Bond, big time.
Kobe Prentice hoping to be big time as well. 5'10", 170. He's out of Calera, Alabama. He was an Eagle who was a 4-star, unanimous prospect.
I mean, name Kobe. Got to be able to ball.
That's right.
And number one, he can ball. So, I mean, just excellent speed here, vision, and just his ability just to make big plays when there's nothing there, like this play here. Quarterback says, I ain't got nothing. Let me just give it to Kobe and get out of the way and watch him do what he does. Makes a guy miss, just tremendous feet. Gets to the end zone. When there's nothing to be made, Kobe makes a play. And you love when you got a guy that can do those type of things. Here on the screen route, these are 0-yard plays that he's taking 20, 25 yards and making big plays out of it. Cody Prentice.
All right, you said Kobe's a name. You know he can play if he's got that name. If your name's Shaz, you better be able to play. Shaz Preston Cand, he's out of St. James, Louisiana, 6 feet and 190 pounds. Good size at a wide out slot.
No doubt. And you said Shaz Preston, man. He must like jazz because when he plays the game, he's just musical and just so artistic with the way he moves. Right there, just changing his feet, playing the game any way that he wants to. He finds his own rhythm, and he puts the guys in the bag here, going up, making a big play in the red zone. I mean, he can do it all. Not only can he catch the slant and go to the house, but he also can take the handoff from the backfield and just shows you his speed, his ability to make guys miss, and then understand anticipation. Make him stop his feet. I'm too fast for him to catch me. Another big play, Shaz Preston.
All right, so again, those are the running backs that have signed that were wide receivers that we've talked about that have signed or on campus. But Jermaine Burton comes to the Tide from the last team we faced. We saw him wearing the wrong uniform. last time. The next time he suits up, it'll be in the right jersey.
No doubt about it, and I'm excited to have him. Jermaine Burton, a great player, a shifty athlete in the slot position, and we've already talked about it. We've lost a lot of players at that wide receiver room, so he's going to get immediate action, immediate leadership, understands how to win a championship. Obviously, Georgia winning one last year, so it's going to be great to have that pedigree to step in over here and bring that to our room with a lot of young guys.
So not counting the transfer portal, all the names that we've talked about today or will talk about today, we talked about back during the original early signing period when we did our special then, except for this young man. He's Danny Lewis, a tight end out of Westgate High School in Louisiana.
Danny Lewis out of Westgate, Louisiana. Tight end, obviously a position of need, opportunity to come in. I love that he's in the line tight end here. Puts his hand in the ground, so that means he can block. Then his ability to catch the ball. He likes a big player that's going to be tough to bring down in space, as this corner, as you can see, has no chance as he tries to bring him down on the big run. Not only can he put his hand in the dirt, put me out here in the slot, coach, and let me mismatch on the linebacker or even smaller nickel back for a big play down the field. So I love what I'm seeing from Danny Lewis here. Once again, safety, it doesn't matter. First play, it was a linebacker. Second play, it was a nickel. Third play, it was a safety. And the fourth play, I'm gonna give you a cornerback. So line anybody up and I'm knocking them all down because I'm gonna bowl a perfect 300. I mean, this guy is just excellent at what he does and going up and making plays on the ball. And then his separation right here. Just showing that he's such a physical athlete and has an ability to move all the way around. So he's going to be a tough matchup when he gets an opportunity to step on the field.
Coach Saban's coming up soon, so let's move on through these next ones. Go with Eliza Brown, the tight end out of Dayton, Ohio.
Definitely. Eliza Brown right here, big guy, big target. Reminds you of like a Gronkowski in the fact of how he moves down the field and just moves awkward, but he finds a way to separate from guys and make big plays. Here, just down the field, look for the big tight end and see him make a big play. Put him in line, running across boot here. He gets lost behind the line of scrimmage, got a defender in front of him, one behind him, just throw it up. See him make another big play. Not only is his size, but his ability to move in space. They continue to call the same play, getting him out in space, showing you his hands, and then showing you he has an ability to make some plays down the field and move the chains. Love the way that they were using him there.
Let's go from tight ends to running backs, and we start with Emmanuel Henderson out of Geneva County High School in Hartford, Alabama.
Man, this is probably one of my favorite guys that we got on the books here. Emmanuel Henderson is just a slasher and a burner and a legit 5-star. I mean, just everything you see about him is elite. He has the size, he has the speed, he has the vision. As you can see on this play here, it looks like he's gonna be cut off on the sideline because they have him. Not today, boss. I'm gonna cut back and I'm gonna walk in the end zone and make it look easy. And you can put him in any position. They lined him up at receiver. Let's put him at tailback this time. Toss sweep, shows you the burst, missed tackle, and then just runs away from guys. Play in and play out. I know it has him at a running back here, but I know we're probably gonna use him in multiple of ways.
Got the Tyler, Texas native, Jamerrian Miller, 5'10", 195. He may not be the Rose, but he's really, really good. The Tyler Rose I'm referring to.
He is really, really good. And, I mean, the way he has great body lean, low center of gravity, and then he can just hit the home run as well, like he did here on this play. But what I love most about him is just his balance, his ability just to make guys miss and not go down easily when it's one guy trying to make a tackle. Obviously, as a running back, you got to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield, showing you he can do that there. So just a multitude of talents that he has and ability that he brings to the table. Makes a guy miss in the backfield, another left step to the left, and now just downhill to the house. Jamerrian Miller, big-time recruit, big-time running back.
Back to the transfer portal for another young man that's going to be a great addition to the roster, we believe, in Jamir Gibbs out of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Jamir Gibbs, great player out of Georgia Tech. Big-time returning kickoff game as well. So I think he's going to get an opportunity to play early. B-Rob carried the load for us, had a couple guys injured. So he's going to be a big fill-in to get some guys going early on and have some veteran talent in that running back room.
You may have heard we got a pretty good running back returning from last year's squad, but you can never have too many there. Ty Simpson out of Westview High School in Tennessee is indeed a good one.
Yes, he is. And like you said, we have a great quarterback in Bryce returning. And this guy, Ty Simpson, is another great. He's going to have an opportunity to sit behind and watch and grow. And not only that, make our defense better. He'll get an opportunity to definitely play on the regular field behind Bryce, but also go into the scout field. When you got a talent like this guy who can run the ball, which you see a lot of now in the game that we play, but also have an arm and a mind to be able to play at a high level, when you get your defense to have an opportunity to practice against that week in and week out, when you're looking at another team that you're playing against, kind of how we did in the bowl game, that gives you just another step of advantage. And then right here, he's making your Patrick Mahomes type play, just running all over the field, keeping his eyes down the field, and just shows you his arm talent. I mean, that was off one leg, twisted sideways, and just puts it right on the money for a touchdown. Ty Simpson, another big-time recruit.
And they're all going to play for the best coach in college football. Coach Nick Saban and his press conference presented by Reveal Suits.
You know, I think, you know, we probably all need to adapt a little bit to, you know, the changes and the landscape of college football and how it's changed now that the early signing date has kind of become the signing date. But we were really pleased and happy to, you know, add, you know, one player today, which was really kind of our goal. You know, Danny Lewis, tight end, and then all the other guys that we, you know, signed in December. I think the 23 guys that we signed in December that we're really, you know, pleased and happy with. This is a culmination of a lot of hard work by a lot of people. You know, first of all, you know, our coaches did a great job of identifying some really character quality prospects who are good players, who have great upside, and who, you know, fit, you know, what we're looking for at the University of Alabama to develop personally, academically, and athletically into being as successful as possible, you know, in all those areas. And, you know, we recruit around here, you know, with a sort of a team effort, and the university community, our administration, Dr. Bell, Greg Byrne, a lot of people in the university community, you know, support and contribute academically, you know, to helping us do a good job of representing the university in a first-class way, and the opportunities that these people, that our players have, you know, academically. And we got a lot of people in our organization here internally that do a really, really good job of spending time and developing relationships, you know, with recruits so that they feel at home and comfortable with, you know, being a part of the University of Alabama program. So I think we satisfied some needs in this class. As you well know, you know, there's a lot of rankings, there's a lot of ratings out there, but you know, basically what we want our players that we recruit to focus on is their development. They certainly have the qualities that we look for to be outstanding football players, but we also want them to focus on, you know, the right things. And, you know, everybody wants to play. Everybody wants an opportunity to play. We give everybody an opportunity to play. But I think the key thing for players is, you know, to stay focused on what they have to do to develop, so when they get an opportunity to play, they can take advantage of it. And so that's always, you know, our goal. No matter how a player's ranked, whether it's the NFL draft where you get drafted, no matter where he's ranked, nobody has to live up to anything. What they have to do is say, I got an opportunity because of what I was able to accomplish and what I was able to do. Now the focus needs to be on, you know, how am I going to take advantage of it and the opportunity that I have here. So we also added 3 transfer players, wide receiver Jermaine Burton, running back Jamir Gibbs, and cornerback Eli Rix. Who are all guys that I think are outstanding players and certainly can make a contribution, you know, to our team in areas where we have needs. We've also added 3 new coaches. Coleman Hutzler will be the special teams coach. He's a defensive coach, so he'll actually do the special teams from the defensive side of the ball. Travarius Robinson will be secondary coach here, coach of cornerbacks, and Eric Wolford will be the offensive line coach. And all these guys have really good pedigree, really good background, really good experience. All these guys have been in the SEC at some point in time and know this league, and I think will make a really positive relationship, a positive effect by the relationships that they can build and develop, with our players on our team. So we're excited about having this new energy, this new enthusiasm to go along with the quality coaches that we have here in the program who did an outstanding job a year ago. So I want to thank everyone out there for all their hard work. I think it starts with the fans and the atmosphere and environment that they create in Bryant-Denny Stadium, which, is a part of the spirit that makes people want to be a part of the program here at the University of Alabama, and all the people, at our institution and the university community, as well as in the athletic department and the football program who work so hard to make this happen.
Coach, we will get things started with Aaron Suttles. Aaron, go ahead.
I know you recruit as a program and everyone's involved, but Pete Golding seems to have a really good year recruiting. What's his ability and what makes him so good to relate to student athletes and their parents?
I didn't quite.
Pete Golding had a good year at recruiting. What makes him?
Yeah, well, I think Pete has a great personality. I think he spends a lot of time with players. And I think it's all about relationships. I know that we have a good product here. Pete does a great job of selling that product. But I think in the end, the players know that he cares about them. Players really don't know what you know until they know that you care. So, Pete's got a great personality. I think he really works hard at it. He's a really good coach, and he has a good relationship with the players on our team. And I think, when players talk to the players on our team, they sort of get that feedback. And that's all helpful in terms of, players feeling comfortable here, knowing that they have a good relationship with the coach that recruited them, but also with the coach that's going to coach them and a lot of the other people involved in the organization. So Pete does a good job of selling all those things in a positive way.
And we will go to Michael Casagrande next. Michael?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about NIL and this whole recruiting cycle. Do you have any, it's been 6-7 months since that rule passed. Do you have any suggestions or ideas for how those rules should evolve, given what's been the discussion lately?
Well, just philosophically, and this is a philosophical question, I think I've answered to your question, but I think players have always been able to work. I think it's a good thing that players now have an opportunity to work and make money through name, image, and likeness. I would hope that we come up with some system in the future where, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I don't think players should make a decision about where they go to school relative to how much money they're going to make in name, image, and likeness. I think all the players on our team who made money in name, image, likeness this year, had representation on their own, and all those deals were created on their own based on their brand and what they did. There's nobody at this institution that had anything to do with any of that. I just don't think that somebody should pick a school because of the institution, the relationships that they have, how they can develop personally, academically, and athletically, and the kind of program that they have and the kind of institution that they want to go to. So I just hope that it doesn't get to where name, image, and likeness deals are created, for high school players to get them to go to a particular institution. And I'm not accusing anybody of that. I'm not saying anybody did that. That's not why I'm saying this. I'm just saying philosophically, I think it's great that players can earn the right to make money through name, image, and likeness when they're on a college team. I just hope it doesn't get to that point because then you open up, a whole new can of worms when it comes to recruiting.
We'll go to Charlie Potter.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Going back to the coaching staff for a second, with Sal Sunseri, is that a situation where he takes maybe an off-the-field role, and regardless of what his plan is for the future, just what has he meant to the program these last few years?
Well, Sal is going to be a special assistant to the head coach. For me, I think there's a lot of things going on in college football. The landscape has changed dramatically. You guys all know that. Whether it's, the portal, having people on top of the portal, you almost need, a staff of people, just like you have a staff of people for recruiting to find out who the best players in high schools are. You also have to have people responsible to do evaluations in terms of, who's getting in the portal, and also tracking, how guys that get in the portal actually do. I think, it's a little bit of a fad right now to think that I get in the portal and all my issues and problems are going to be solved. But yet it'd be interesting to see how many people really benefit in a positive way from taking advantage of the opportunity to get in the portal. And we're going to track those kind of things. So, and Sal's going to be involved in a lot of those things. But he's going to be a special assistant to me to help me in a lot of ways in the changing landscape of college football.
We'll go to Mike Rodak.
Just with the NFL hiring cycle stretching into February now, and maybe some opportunities available for Bill O'Brien, just how do you approach that potentially if he does leave, if there's an opening on your staff in February?
Well, you're asking a hypothetical question. The only thing I would agree with you on is, the change in calendar for the NFL. It has sort of extended the time that people would have opportunities in the NFL. Even the Senior Bowl was pushed back a week. So this is the first time I didn't go to the Senior Bowl since I don't know when, because, there were things that we had to do here. I always meet with all of our players on our team on Monday and Tuesday before signing date, and I spend all day today talking to guys that we're going to recruit next year. So I didn't get to go to the Senior Bowl. So the new calendar, again, it's something that we all have to adapt to. But look, Bill's done a great job for us here, and Bill's had a very successful career. I don't think Bill's trying to leave. I think he likes it at Alabama, and we have an opportunity with some pretty good players at the quarterback position and other positions to maybe, continue to grow and develop, here offensively. And I think he's looking forward to that challenge. But saying all that to say this, I've always been one that guys work hard and do a good job for you. If they get opportunities to go someplace else, I want to support them and help them if it benefits them and their family. So, but, we have no indication of that other than what you all put on the internet right now, which is a lot of maybes. So we're not really trying to address something that might happen.
We'll go to Tony Scalis.
Hey, Nick, we haven't been able to ask you specifically about the transfers individually. What can you kind of break down each one and what they bring to the program, the 3 incoming transfers?
Jermaine Burton was somebody that we recruited out of high school that we thought was a really, really good player. He had a fairly productive, year at Georgia. They have a lot of good players at his position, and he had some production this year, but probably might have seen a better opportunity because we're a little bit more wide open and throw the ball more with a good quarterback. That may have been his intention, but we feel like we lost both starting receivers and Slade. 2 to the draft and Slade. So, to get a more experienced player that has some playing time in this league probably is a good thing for us, and we like his ability, and, hopefully he'll be able to be very productive for us. Gibbs was a very productive running back at Georgia Tech, very fast, very explosive guy, has really good hands. Actually practiced with us before the national championship game, and we were excited about the speed and explosiveness. He's a really good receiver. I think he can do a lot of positive things for us. Eli Rix was a starting corner at LSU, hurt his shoulder last year, so he missed, I think, more than half the season. Obviously, both of our corners, Josh Jobe being a senior, Jaden Armour-Davis going out for the draft. Good opportunity for him, and certainly adds some experience and depth at that position for us. So all the guys have played well when they've played for their team, and we all thought that they would be positive additions to our team.
Okay, we got time for a couple more here. We'll start with Katie.
Coach, you mentioned signing Danny Lewis today and how it kind of met a position of need. How important was it for this class to go out and get a tight end to kind of close things out?
Yeah, well, really, you know, we have a tight end. We have 13 guys that are here mid-year. One of them is a tight end. We have another guy that we list as an athlete that's probably a tight end. You know, we really looked hard for guys that in this class that had really good senior years that maybe were a little late developing. And, you know, we were really excited, you know, about Danny. And we're happy to get him. And I think that, you know, tight end is one of the positions that we have some need at. So to be able to get, you know, 3 players in this class that have a chance to develop and maybe contribute is probably, you know, real positive for us, and we like all 3 guys.
Okay, we'll finish up with Taylor.
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering if you saw or if anyone showed you the video that was kind of going around of Brian Kelly dancing behind Danny Lewis when he was at LSU. Don't know if you saw it. It was really cringeworthy. It was all over the internet, and what you had to say about that. And if you had or hadn't seen it, just talk about Danny Lewis's character and kind of what you expect from him as far as that goes.
Yeah, well, I have not seen the video, but, you know, I like to dance too. So I like the line dance, you know, do the Cupid Shuffle or whatever they call it, and, you know, all that stuff. And I usually do it in the house, you know, at our recruiting parties on Saturday night. Some of it ends up on YouTube. But, you know, I mean, everybody's got their way to do what they do, whether it's in recruiting or how they run their program. And there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. And, you know, it's not for me to judge, you know, anybody in terms of what they do. So, but, you know, I really like Danny. He's got a great family. You know, people in South Louisiana are great people. You know, he's been very successful as a basketball player. Excuse me. And was very productive this year as a football player. So he's got great size. I think he runs well. He's a good blocker. He's one of the guys that, you know, tight end is a position where it's used to be just when Ozzie Newsome played tight end, you just lined up by the tackle and put your hand in the dirt, and that was what a tight end did. Well, now a tight end does that. He plays wide receiver, and he also plays H-back off the ball, which now is more like a fullback. So it's really hard to find guys that can do all those things. I think Danny has a chance to be a guy that can do those things, but most importantly, I think he's big enough to be an inline blocker, which is Cam Latu is a guy that has developed nicely at that position for us and can do these things, but we certainly need somebody young in our program that can do all these things as well.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you.
Coach Nick Saban talking to everyone as he took part of that press conference, and glad we could bring it to you on RollTide.com as well and social media platforms for Crimson Tide Productions. Let's talk about that tight end position a little bit more. Yeah. And there were some missed opportunities there last year. Obviously, it's not one guy that's going to fix all of that, but Danny Lewis, who's the only signee from the late period, is clearly somebody Coach feels very confident about.
Yeah, he does. And like you said, it's a position of need. He should feel confident about him. Like you said, he's a guy that's versatile. Typically, when you have a tight end, he's just an end-the-line guy that only can put his hand in the dirt and block and do a simple route like over the ball here. But Danny Lewis can do a little bit of it all. He can go to the slot position, match him up versus a nickelback or safety, and then you can also put him out wide at wide receiver, you know, which is another matchup issue, and not just a matchup issue. It makes the defense now have to show their hand. If I have a tight end lined up at number 1 at receiver, if there's a linebacker lined up on him, then I know you're in man-to-man. And Bryce Young knows you're in man-to-man. And that means he's going to go to his matchup, and he's going to go to the matchup probably is going to be Danny Lewis versus a linebacker out at number 1. Right. So just a terrific talent that we can move all the way around the field in many different ways. And with the way the offenses are ran now, wide open spread, Just a tremendous addition to the group.
You know, that's one of the positions that didn't really get affected dramatically, as memory serves, by injury.
Yeah.
But there were so many that were. It affected depth. It affected maybe your best weapons in regards. Certainly late we saw that happen. It shows you can't have enough guys, but even guys that you think are going to be able to develop and don't necessarily miss the mark because of injury that still aren't there. And I'm not going to pick on any one player, but that tight end slot had a guy or two that you thought were going to give you a little bit different look than they were able to.
Totally, yeah. Like you said, that room was full of some talent, and you thought that some things were going to play out differently. But sometimes it doesn't happen. You know, that development just doesn't click. It isn't the right situation for them per se. So now you have to have that depth and have another guy that can step in and fill that. And I thought Cameron Latu did a great job of that. A guy that we could put in the line, that could block the defensive end in front of him. We could run behind him, but he also could make those plays in the red zone and make big touchdowns for us when we needed them late in the game in playoff games and then early in the season. He was a mismatch for the linebackers and did a lot of big things for us when his opportunity and his number was called. So Danny Lewis, Eliza Brown, you know, Amari Nyblack, guys that are going to get another opportunity to step in because there is, you know, some openings at that tight end position.
So you played for the man, and you've covered him now for a few years as a member of our crew with the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Yeah.
You've heard a lot of the things from a philosophical standpoint firsthand many times, but was there anything else from today's press conference specifically that stood out to you?
Nothing specifically. I mean, I think the number one thing that he said in the very beginning, thing that stood out to me, is that we got a great group of guys of character. He didn't talk about their talent. He didn't talk about how they were going to contribute on the field. He talked about their character. These are good men, guys who can take coaching, who are going to do the right things in the right situations. And from there, you can develop those guys. You can help them write their vision, make it plain, and take them to the destination that they want to go, being champions on the field and off the field. And Coach Saban does a great job of that. His staff does a great job of that in recruiting. And I think that was the number one thing that stood out to me, that he didn't open up speaking about the talent, because, I mean, we got tons of it on this paper right here. But he wanted to speak to the character of the group, and from there, the talent will blossom.
You know, from a fan base standpoint, when anything goes wrong, when you have a legendary coach, whether you're talking about Coach Saban now or Coach Bryant back in his day, they blame the coordinators. They're not blaming the legend. Coach Moore had to deal with that a lot as the OC. Back under Coach Bryant, if anything ever went wrong, it seemed that poor coach took that from the fan base. Pete Golding's taken a lot of that, but he wouldn't still be here if he wasn't a major impact on that coaching staff for Nick Saban. And truly, we saw that in recruiting this year as well.
Yeah, we saw it in recruiting this year, and I mean, we saw it in year in and year out. But not only just in recruiting, in coaching this year. Early on, people were having their questions. The fans are saying things, you know, that are just outlandish if you think about it, the way that the team is rated and the way that they're going. But not only that, he makes them get to a point to where they're playing their best ball at the end of the season. And that's what great coaches do. They go in, they allow their guys to play. Obviously, things isn't going to go right all the time when you're playing football. How do I adjust? Can I keep them motivated? Can I get them to the destination? And he does a great job of doing that. Had the pleasure of being on that staff and being around Pete. And the things that Coach said, he has great personality. The young men love to play for him because he brings great energy, and he's all about ball. You know, in the University of Alabama, like, that's it. It's ball. And that's what these guys come here to do. So got a great leader, obviously, in Coach Saban, but also have a great secondary man in command in Pete Golding as the DC. All
right, let's take a look at the big board again. The signees, not just obviously from today, because there was only one, but in this signing period, a really, really good group. We ran through all of them earlier, but pick out a guy or two from that list. Again, we've discussed them, but somebody that you feel is going to have a major impact early on.
Man, I'm going to give you two. Defensively, Jeremiah Alexander, and offensively, Emmanuel Henderson. Both in-state guys. I did that intentionally because the Alabama state is great, and we have great talent. Not only we have it in other states, but I wanted to pick on those guys. Jeremiah Alexander, just a technician. Played at Thompson, like you said, championship pedigree. But when you watched him on film, he understood each and every assignment of every play. It wasn't like he was out of position one time. Here, taking on the double team on a stretch run. Plays it perfectly with two hands. Offensive guard falls off, I'm right in the hole to make my play. I don't go out of my gap. I play my call, and then from there, I play ball. Outside technique, cross face, come make the tackle. I mean, just tremendous effort, tremendous technique, and just overall finish in the way that he plays. Knock back here. I mean, awesome.
Will he stay on the edge, or does he have the size, the ability to move more towards the middle if necessary?
Yeah, I think he's the guy that we're going to be able to move around to the middle on situational downs. We get on third down, when you got guys like Will Anderson, you got guys, like Dallas Turner, and then you got a guy like Jeremiah Alexander. Put all three of those guys on the defensive line. Let them go hunt the quarterback, and you can do a lot of multiples when you have someone this athletic, but not only athletic, but this sound and his technique. Play in and play out, you can move him around in a lot of different factors, and they're going to have a lot of fun doing that.
All right, let's go from that defensive player you talked about to the one on the offensive side. And again, 6'1", 185, Emmanuel Henderson, somebody you think is going to have a chance to get on the field early out of Geneva County High School.
Yeah, man, he's just electric. When you watch him, it just seems as though he's moving at a different speed, and he's on another altitude compared to the guys on the field. And they move him and use him in a versatile of ways. A receiver, bring him in motion on the run. Right here, just anticipation and knowing that the defender has the angle on him, boom, puts his foot in the ground, doesn't change speed a bit, and just makes it look easy when these guys are trying to stop, a crazy talent like he has. And watch this change of speed. Right there, that burst. And that quick dip in and back up. I mean, it's just elite when you're watching him. Not that everyone else on this paper isn't elite. There's just something special about Emmanuel Henderson that you can just put him on the field. He'll run through guys, run around guys, and then run past guys.
The power is obvious, the strength, but vision and balance, I thought, from a couple of those clips kind of stood out as well.
Totally. I mean, vision, balance, body control, just things that you just don't normally see from a guy of that size and stature. He can do it all, and right there showing you his balance again, just going to be a tremendous talent. I'm excited to see just how are we going to use him. I mean, we can put him out of receiver, send him in motion, put him in the backfield, hand it off to him. Just a guy that can do it all, and he's going to be a guy that's going to get opportunity to do it all when he gets here.
Said it at the top of the show, but what's so important for all teams, trying to fill and fit your needs recruiting. As you look at the board, there doesn't seem to be an area that Alabama didn't achieve that goal.
Yeah, when you're looking at it, I agree. It doesn't seem like that happened. Receiver obviously was a big need, losing 3 guys. Coach mentioned it. Our 2 starters and Slade Bowden. I think we did a great job of grabbing some guys, not only to step in, but also to have that home run hit. Jamison Williams wasn't just your typical catch the ball, he's down, but he's making 70, 80, 90-yard plays. Those big plays have to be, filled from somewhere. And I think we did a great job with, these guys on the board here that we can use to do that. Aaron Anderson, Isaiah, Bond, Kobe Prentice, just great players that can take the top off defenses and gonna get an opportunity to do that when they get here.
Let's talk about the excitement coming up once again for Alabama. Some of these guys could be in uniform. They'll have a chance when we get into the start of practice, which will be right around the corner with spring coming up, and then the 2022-2023 season. Tell me again where your excitement begins for that team, the next edition of the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, my excitement begins, with this next edition, obviously with that talent that I just talked about in the wide receiver room, but then it moves over to the secondary. We got some guys that are going to get opportunity to step in, I think, and play early on. Earl Little, just showing you big-time plays, his ability to read the ball and make plays on the ball. I think Coach loves that, but not only that, his ability to blitz off the edge. So we're going to have an opportunity to see some of these skilled guys step in early in the spring game. But ultimately, I'm excited about seeing the Heisman winner coming back. Will Anderson, another defensive MVP, guys who didn't get a chance to achieve the goal that they wanted to achieve. Sour taste in their mouth, obviously going to come back and prep and get ready for an amazing season again. I'm excited to see them get started and go and get this trophy the way that they wanted to do this year.
The truth is, last year's team, frankly, with all that it endured, may have overachieved in some regard. I know that sounds a bit odd to talk about an Alabama team doing so, but I think it may have happened and there's still hunger from this squad this year coming into the next season with all that talent you talked about.
Yeah, definitely hunger. Like you said, ultimate goal wasn't satisfied. Alabama, we're here to win championships. We're trying to build them on the field and off the field. Yes, you know, there wasn't a loss in that season last year. It was a lesson. Things that they can take with them, move on to this year, and get an opportunity to do ultimately what they set out last year to do. But one thing they have to understand, that this is a new season. Doesn't matter what they did in the past season, new leaders, new team, new players, opportunity to start the new process. And this is it here with these guys in the 22 signing class. Can't wait to get them on the field in spring ball.
Looking forward to it indeed. Always fun to be with you, partner. It's going to be here again, and we'll be talking to you from down on the sidelines, and looking forward to another year indeed.
Definitely excited about it, getting back into Bryant-Denny and traveling on the road for some big games this year.
Well, that's going to wrap up our web-based show here, talking about the signing class of 2022. So excited to have an opportunity to visit with you and here in person, all the members of the Red Elephant Club. We appreciate your attendance as well. We've got a lot more for the in-house crowd as well, but it does wrap up our web-based show. For Rashad Johnson, I'm Chris Stewart. Thanks for joining us, and Roll Tide, everybody.